Hello, everybody. Today I am here to do my review for Sonic the Hedgehog 1 from 1991, where it all began. I'm currently doing a Sonic the Hedgehog marathon across all of my channels. I'm going to be playing every Sonic game I can, which is going to be a good majority of them, including handhelds and we'll see what else I can get my hands on. But I'm going to be playing a bunch of Sonic the Hedgehog games. I'm going to be watching every Sonic the Hedgehog show, all the movies. I'm going to be going through all the comic books, so I'll be going through IDW again, going through Archie again. I'll be reading further in Fleetway than I ever got before. We're going to read manga. We're going to have a good time just consuming Sonic the Hedgehog for like this whole year. So to start this off, what better place than where it all began? Sonic the Hedgehog 1 for the Sega Genesis in 1991. This game was released in July 1991 in Japan, on the 26th of July 1991 in Japan, in June 23rd, 1991 in North America, July 31st, 1991 in Europe, and June 21st, 1991 in the UK. It's funny that it came out first in North America, then Japan, but you will see why as we go into this. So normally how these reviews go, I kind of break down, the plot and then the gameplay, the modes, all that type of stuff. But as you all know, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the plot is very simple. It's just Eggman is capturing a bunch of creatures, Flickies, and puts them in his capsules, and he plans to stick them in Badniks. And Sonic's like, no, stop that, and goes to stop him. That's the plot. So what I'm going to do, because Sonic the Hedgehog does kind of deserve this, we are going to do a bit of a brief history on the production of Sonic the Hedgehog. I will not be going super deep into some stuff because I have plans for another video to fully go into further early ideas for Sonic the Hedgehog. So we're going to do just a basic kind of production thing. So production began for this game in 1999 on April, after Sega requested a new mascot to compete against Mario, and replaced their previous mascot, Alex the Kid, who wasn't working. Poor Alex, man. The game was commissioned to showcase the technological capabilities of the Sega Genesis prior to the international release of the SNES. The game was developed by 7 people, with the most notable being Yuji Naka, Naoto Oshima, and Hirokazu Yasuhara. I got it. Hirokazu Yasuhara. I got it. Yuji Naka wanted a fast-paced video game that would allow players to speedrun early levels in repeat playthroughs, yet have a simple control scheme. Well, the speedrun bit didn't fucking work. Sega's AM8's R&D department submitted several designs, including a wolf, a bulldog, a robot, and a warrior character. An early idea by Oshima was a rabbit who could grab objects with his ears, named Feels, but was found too slow and complex for the Sega Genesis hardware. Feels was set to be the character for a good while, with Naka and Oshima making a plushie to show the Sega board members. The team eventually, though, settled on a Hedgehog character by Oshima when he took a trip to New York City and conducted an informal survey in Central Park, where he showed people sketches of various character designs, including a hedgehog, a dog, and a character that would later become Dr. Eggman. The Hedgehog design proved to be the most popular, reinforcing the team's choice. This was the birth of Sonic the Hedgehog. The choice of a hedgehog stemmed from the belief that his spines would complement his rolling-based attacks and gameplay. The character was designed to appeal to Americans, the game's target audience, and his personality was modeled around the cultural and political landscape of the United States at the time. The game's aesthetics were influenced by the CGI technology of the 1980s, using the Genesis 16-bit graphics to create pseudo-3D background objects, while the soundtrack was made by Masamoto Nakamura from the J-pop band Dreams Come True. Sonic the Hedgehog's narrative incorporated environmental themes. Sonic represents nature, and his adversary Dr. Eggman, which was Dr. Robotnik in the Western release, embodies industry, with his robots serving as the game's enemies. The game saw various changes during development. Sonic's speed was adjusted after playtesters suffered from motion sickness, and the first stage, Green Hill Zone, was redone from scratch multiple times to ensure a good first impression among players. And I think we can all agree, Green Hill Zone is a good first impression. The rest of it, not so much. Names for Sonic ranged from Mr. Hedgehog and Mr. Needlemouse before the team settled on Sonic's final name to represent speed and took the name Sonic Team. Sonic was designed to be easy for kids to draw. His pigment of blue was adjusted several times during development to match Sega's logo and for higher contrast against the backgrounds. Oshima combined Felix the Cat's head with Mickey Mouse's body for Sonic's design, with inspiration from the cover from Michael Jackson's album Bad and Santa Claus's costume for Sonic's shoes. It's fucking crazy that that's the inspiration, isn't it? Sonic was created without the ability to swim because of Naka's mistaken assumption that hedgehogs could not do so. So, you all know, we can blame Yuji Naka. The reason water is a hazard is because of Yuji Naka thinking hedgehogs can't swim. It's funny that that still persists to this day, that Sonic can't swim, and I'm all for it. Sonic's personality was defined by 3 pillars that aligned with Sega's image: cool, challenger, and having a backstory. He was made to appeal to American audiences under the belief that success in the US would attract Japanese consumers. He was made impulsive, which Oshima saw as representative Americans, and influenced by, I can't fucking believe this, Bill Clinton's get it done attitude. Bill Clinton was an inspiration for Sonic the Hedgehog. That doesn't sit right with me. In anticipation for the game that grew within Sega, the character also made cameos in a few other games, particularly in Rad Mobile, regarded as Sonic's earliest game appearance as a car ornament, and in puzzle construction alongside Dr. Eggman. I knew about Rad Mobile. Every Sonic fan knows about Rad Mobile. I don't think I knew about puzzle construction. Seeing potential in the design of the Mustache Man, Sonic Team eventually revisited the concept, retooled him into the main antagonist instead. Oshima aimed for a design that was easy for kids to draw, hence the rotund shape. In development for the character, the team made him Sonic's opposite, representing technology to play on the environmentalist culture of the 1990s. When in development, the character was named Dr. Eggman is a mystery, as he spent some time designed like a bee. There is a universe out there where Dr. Eggman is a bee. I want to see that universe. When Sonic the Hedgehog first released, Sega of America named the character Dr. Ivo Robotnik. This name was made by Sega game counselor and designer Dean Sitton. Ivo was picked because of its phonetic similarity with the word evil, while Robotnik was chosen for its Slavic roots related to work, fitting with the game's industrial themes. Other names considered were Dr. Gloom, Dr. X, and Dr. What. This name change was done without Sonic Team's consent. And oh my god, man, we're gonna get into this fully about, Eggman's name and all that type of stuff. We're gonna fully get into that in a separate video, but I did want to touch on it here. Just like we're gonna get more into development for like the Sonic plot and all that type of stuff in a separate video. I do want to stress that. So if you're like, you forgot this, it's in another video coming out. A technical demo of the game was first showcased at the Tokyo Toy Show in June 1990, but it failed to attract interest and Sega kept the project a secret. The game was later revealed at the Consumer Electronics Show in January 1991 and was regarded as the most impressive title during the event. It is worth noting that the Consumer Electronics Show takes place usually in America. So they tried it in Japan, didn't work. They tried it in America, it worked. If that isn't the story of Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know what is. Upon its release in 1991, Sonic the Hedgehog received critical acclaim and worldwide recognition, allowing Sega to directly compete with Nintendo, and this triggered the console wars, which would define the video game industry for the 1990s. Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah, this is when the console wars truly kicked off, was Sonic. I mean, the console wars kind of started when the Genesis was just out, but Sonic being the new competitor to Mario, at least that's what Sega wanted, definitely kickstarted this all. So, that is a brief backstory on the production of Sonic the Hedgehog. So now let's get into the games, the gameplay. Thankfully, I have to say, doing a little comparison to Mario, I prefer Sonic's controls way over Mario because, one, I don't have a fucking run button. Sonic is great. He, and the more you go, the more momentum he builds, the faster he gets. His controls are fine, when it comes to like his jumping, his movement, it's fine. It's standard 2D platforming, nothing really to write home about. What I can talk about is the stages, which is where a lot of the gameplay stuff kind of goes. Of course, some stages are more quicker, more faster pace, allow you to really get into Sonic's speed more than others. Green Hill is a perfect example of just letting you run. Like, you can blow through Green Hill like it's nobody's business. And you have just the best time. They have the perfect amount of enemies, the perfect obstacles. It's the perfect starting course for like a 2D platformer I think there's ever been. That's why it's persisted for so long. And we complain as Sonic fans about how much Green Hill keeps coming back. And yes, it does get tiring seeing it all the time. But, I mean, the reason is because of how great it was. How great of a first impression it gave people, being like, whoa, this is amazing. This is such an amazing level. I mean, look at the speed you can go. There's still platforming in there. The enemies to avoid. Like, it's a really great, like, done level from, like, a production standpoint of how they designed it. The aesthetic, how it looks is really good. The vibrant green, it's very inviting. It's just a great level, like, all around. All 3 acts are amazing. And all stages have 3 acts, with the first 2 acts being normal. The 3rd act is normal, just a normal, you go about it. But at the end, there is a boss. And I will go over the bosses later. So after Green Hill, which is a fantastic starting course, and I'm going to say it right now, it's the best level of the game. We get to one of the worst of the game, which is Marble Zone. Marble Zone, which is an ancient ruin in a mountain range with various pools of lava. Most of Marble Zone is spent in an underground dungeon with traps, and this is where we get a problem. We go from Green Hill, which is one of the best levels, the best level in the game, lets you go about speeding your way through, to Marble Zone, which does the exact opposite. It is time to slow down when you get to this level. And there's a reason why it's considered to be like the worst level in this goddamn game, because it's bad. I feel like I'm not even playing Sonic when I do this. Like, I feel like I'm just playing another random platform, right? This really feels like a Mario level that a Marble Zone does, but not a good one. Like a pretty bad Mario level is what this feels like. The difficulty spike from Green Hill to Marble Zone is extraordinarily stupid. It took me a while to beat Marble Zone. Green Hill, I got done that in like my first try. I was like real happy. Marble Zone, good luck. I wouldn't be surprised if people playing this, they did Green Hill, they loved it, they played Marble Zone, they got pissed and they stopped. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't blame you. That's how bad Marble Zone is. Is it the worst level in this game? No. Not to me. It's a bad level, though. It is a definite bad level. Having lava as like a hazard, like, I can get that, right? And if you want to do underground dungeon sections with a bit of traps, bit of spikes, like, I can see you doing that for a brief portion of the level, and then we go back to what we normally were, which is the high speed, right? But they don't do that. This whole level is just underground dungeon, slow down, traps that are sometimes unfairly placed. This level has like 0 checkpoints, which is a problem I would say with the whole game, is checkpoints are sparse. I don't need a checkpoint every 5 seconds. That's not what I'm asking for, but at least a regular amount. Because there's times in this Marble Zone where you will go through it and you will go like 3 minutes of playtime without a checkpoint. And you die, good luck, buddy. All that knowledge, all that time you just spent is gone. And I had to deal with that plenty of times. So Marble Zone sucks. It's an awful level. Spring Yard is a great reprieve from Marble Zone because at least you can speed up again. So Spring Yard is a city in a forest and some mountains during the sunset. The player bounces around in bumpers and navigates using moving blocks. So this is where like the bumpers are officially added to the levels. They don't annoy me. They're not used egregiously. I would say Spring Yard is pretty good. There is some traps as well to go along with this level. Like, they'll have, like, these iron balls that you gotta, like, navigate through and all that. And those are fine. I don't think those are, like, super bad hazards. But Spring Yard Zone is a much better zone than Marble Zone. If Spring Yard would have come after Green Hill, I don't think I would be as mad. I'd be like, no, this still feels like a Sonic level, There is still, like, good platforming in this one, definitely, more than Marble Zone. So, yeah. Spring Yard's a fine zone. Labyrinth is hell on Earth. This is where, like, I think a lot of people's fear of water levels came from. This fucking thing. You could argue Mario as well, right? But like this fucking thing is the embodiment of the worst aspects of water levels. Sonic's movement in water is so fucking bad. They don't even like let you, like in Mario, you can swim. I would say a water level in Mario is better than whatever the fuck this was. At least in Mario, you swim, right? It's a different mechanic, right? You're not just running around in the water, right? Like you can swim, you can go up and down. The mechanic is different. In Sonic, he just runs normally, except he's super fucking slow now. And it's awful. The way these levels are designed with all the spikes, all the traps, some like design of this is just straight up mean. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that? It very much feels like a lot of this game with these levels is trial and error, right? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, you know? Oh, I failed this, I know what to do next time. But the thing is that even though you're like, oh, I know what to do, they still make it hard as hell for you to do it. Which sucks, is not inviting to me. Labyrinth Zone is the worst level in this game to me. I hate this level so much. I would say the first act is awful, like completely just awful. The second act isn't that bad. I think the second act is a lot better. The third act is god-awful, especially when we get to the boss. But we'll get to that later. Next is Starlight Zone, which is a construction site in the middle of the city at night. Starlight features seesaws, which contain an iron ball that can be used to give Sonic an upward boost. Starlight is a good level. Again, you need it after Labyrinth Zone being hell on earth. Starlight is a welcome reprieve. The seesaws is a fun mechanic. Not overdone at all. I like Starlight Zone. It's a very nice level. You know, you can really go through it real fun. Starlight Zone's good. Scrap Brain is the final zone. This is you in Eggman's base. It's real fun. It is hard, though. That's the thing. It's a hard level, but in this case, the hardness of the level is warranted because it's the final level. So I expect going into this to be hard, to die a couple times. I'm still gonna, like, you know, yell and scream, like, ah! But I know it's meant to be that way, and it should be that way, because it's the final level of a game. Not like Labyrinth Zone or Marble Zone, which are just sprinkled in between the beginning and middle of the game and ruin all my enjoyment. You know, like, Scrap Brain has hard things in it, but it should be. It's the final level. It's the, you know, right? It's Eggman's base of operations. It makes sense. Now, the third act in this isn't actually a boss. The third act is just a third act. But what makes the third act awful is that it's pretty much just Labyrinth Zone again. Why the fuck you decided to do that? I'll never know. One of the 3 people making this game must have got high on fentanyl and just decided, yep, we're gonna do this. Wouldn't this be fun? No, it's not. Yeah, that is the stages in the game. Overall, I would say Green Hill's the best one. The worst one is Labyrinth. Fucking shit. The bosses now. Okay, so the boss in Green Hill is the Wrecking Ball. You know, the standard classic Wrecking Ball. Eggman in his Eggmobile drops the Wrecking Ball. You just gotta hit him a couple times. And that pretty much is the fight. It's fun. You beat it in your first try. You don't think anything of it. It's a fun, iconic now, retroactively looking back, fight. That is good for the first boss. And I will say that generally you need to hit Eggman for every boss about 6 or 7 times, which is a lot of hits. It really is. Like, I mean, like, when you look at something like, it's not as egregious as some games get. Like, the Sonic Advance games get, like, you need to hit this dude, like, 10 times or something. It's like, what the fuck? You expect me to live 10 times with how hard these bosses are? Right? That gets egregious. But, like, at first, like, definitely for the Wrecking Ball, you don't feel it. It's, like, super hard. But definitely in, like, the further you get, you're like, okay, come on now. 6 times is, like, okay, that's a decent hit count, but, Marble Zone is the Egg Scorcher is the next one. Now, I will say the boss in Marble Zone was probably the best fucking part. So what you do is you hop between 2 platforms because Eggman will shoot fire down. And when he shoots fire down, the fire, like, engulfs the whole platform. So you gotta jump to the other platform. And in between your jumps to the platforms, you gotta hit him. It's a fine boss. a good follow-up to Wrecking Ball. I have no complaints about the boss. I enjoyed the boss more than I did the level. Spring Yard Zone is the Egg Stinger. So this one did take me like a couple tries because I was being dumb and I wasn't doing it proper. That was all my fault. So what you do is you're on this platform, and Eggman will have a spike on the bottom of his Eggmobile, right? And you stand still on the platform, and he will then like descend with the spike, and he will pick up the piece from the platform up off the air. And while he does that, you need to move out the way and hit him. And by the end, you should have 2 pieces of the platform left by the end. So it took me a couple tries to get it because I wasn't playing it properly. I will say, one death was unfair. He was nowhere near me and I got hit, which I hate. But the Egg Stinger, good boss. Then there's Labyrinth Zone, which is you literally just chase Eggman up the labyrinth while water rises. I hate this thing so fucking much. Worst boss in the game. Seriously. And it's because of all the stupid traps that are in your way when you're chasing him. I hate it so much. Worst boss in the game. Starlight Zone is the Egg Spiker. This uses the seesaws that are introduced in the level, and Eggman will drop exploding spikes, and you either launch them back up at him or use them to launch yourself up in the air to hit him. Good level. It uses the new mechanic introduced very well. I enjoyed this one. And then the final boss is the Egg Crusher. You know what it is. There's like 2 pylons in there's 2 pylons in the ground, 2 pylons in the ceiling. Eggman will alternate between all 4 of them, and every round 2 of them will come up in the air, and you gotta hope that you are next to the pylon that he comes in, and then you hit it. And then in between, while he's changing pylons, 4 beams of energy will form in the air, and you gotta avoid them and not get hit. It's a decent final boss, definitely. I was way on the camp of taking my time. I wasn't going to try to beat this super quick or anything. I was like, however long it takes, I'll beat this guy. I think it took me like almost 3 minutes because I was just more than content to wait. This boss was kind of hard for me too because I entered it with 0 rings. Which, so I can say, hey, I beat the boss without getting hit, during the time I hit him, you know what I mean? It was a no-hit run. I will say that sometimes some of these bosses, now usually when you fight a boss, there's a checkpoint, right? Like right in front of it, so that when you die, you just go right and you can fight the boss again. You don't have to go back, which is nice. And some games should take a lesson from this. Sonic 4. But some bosses are nicer than others, where some bosses will have rings right next to the checkpoint. So you can get some rings before you go fight the boss. Others aren't nice. And there's no rings for you, there's no hope. And the final boss was one of them. I wouldn't even say this one was hard. It's just you get the mechanic. None of these bosses are hard, except for Labyrinth, but that's not really a boss. That's just, them taking out their fucking stress on me today, right? They just chose violence because, I don't know, wife didn't pack the right tuna casserole today for lunch, so fuck it, I'm gonna take my anger out on the fucking plebs playing the game, What did I do? I wasn't born yet. Why are you taking it out on me all these years later? But all the other bosses, they're fine. They're really good, decent bosses. I have no complaints. What I do have complaints about is the special stages. Okay, so the special stages in Sonic 1 are the ones where, Sonic's a ball, and you're in the fucking, maze-like thing, right? And you gotta have all these hazards that are around, right? All these hazards that are around that you have to avoid. So there are these blocks that if you hit them, they rotate the maze. There are the springs that are around, which are the bane of my fucking existence in these levels. I cannot tell you how many times the springs have ruined my life in these. Oh my fucking god. There's been so many times I was so close to beating a special stage and the spring comes and goes, nah, you don't fucking need to do that. There are blocks that are titled goal, and they just end the stage. You lose. Fuck you. God. No, that is a good idea. The problem is they're next to the fucking bumpers! So, how do you get to a special stage? Well, you need to beat one of the acts, the first or second act. The third act doesn't count because there's a boss. So you need to beat the first or second act in a stage, and end it with 50 rings, and then a giant ring will be there at the signpost, and you jump into it. And that's how you get to a special stage. And by beating a special stage, you get a Chaos Emerald. There's only 6 in this game. That's been retconned. I forget what the reasoning is. I think the 7th one was just shy and didn't show up. But, you know, there it goes. I hate these special stages with all my being. I really do. Like, so there's so many other special stages that you'll get in games that are way better than this. The special stages in Sonic 2 are way better than this. Blue Sphere is better than this. The special stages in Sonic Heroes are better than this. They're awful. I hate the special stages in this game, and no shock that Sonic 4 decided to copy them, and it's fucking worse in Sonic 4 for some reason. Yeah. I hate these special stages with a burning passion. Are they my least favorite part of the game? They might be. They, honest to God, might be. What makes them even worse is my game did not save my Chaos Emerald. So I got 2 Chaos Emeralds from the first and second stage. I went into the third stage, did it after like 50 tries and selling my firstborn son, and I finally did it. Got the third Chaos Emerald, and the game's like, cool. That's your first one. So I just completely did not accept the fact that I had beaten the other one. So I said, fuck it. And I didn't get all 6 of the Chaos Emeralds, which is what you need to get the good ending. All the good ending is that when you're finished, the Chaos Emeralds go up into the air, they explode, they disappear, and then there's a bunch of flowers behind Sonic. That's it. I don't care. Then there is a little fun thing. There's a stage select you can do in this. So in order to do the stage select, what you have to do is you have to input a code. That code is up, down, left, right, and either A or X, whatever the action button is with whatever thing you are working on. Then a ring chime will happen, which means that it is activated. From there, you click the select, and then you can just pick whatever level from any act you want. You can also do special stages, you can do boss modes, you can do anything. In Origins, Sonic Origins, the compilation, there were more features added, like turning off Spin Dash, because the Spin Dash is in their version, so you can turn off the Spin Dash. You can even select from different characters using numbers. So 0 is Sonic and Tails, 1 is Sonic, 2 is Tails, 3 is Knuckles, 4 is Amy, 5 is Amy and Tails. You can do Knuckles and Tails, but that was only in the 2013 mobile port. You can also change the number of Chaos Emeralds from 6 to 7, and then play as Super Sonic and Sonic 1, which is really cool that Sonic Origins did that. Moving on to the soundtrack. What do I have to say, man? What do I have to say? Like, soundtrack, it's amazing. It really is just amazing. I think the best, I mean, we can go over, right? Like, Green Hill, iconic level. Marble Zone isn't bad. Spring Yard is good. Labyrinth is hell. Even though it's a good song. Starlight's also fun. Like, all the songs on the soundtrack, they're good. Like, that's the constant with Sonic. Even if the game's shit, the soundtrack's gonna be great. And it definitely is here. And props to Masato Nakamura for starting this trend. So he's the one who did the soundtrack. He was the bassist and songwriter for the band Dreams Come True. Nakamura was initially surprised, but was inspired by the developers' desire to outdo Mario. Initially, then Sega director Fujio Minagishi suggested asking the composer Yasuo Kayama, who was a personal friend of his, to compose Sonic the Hedgehog's music. However, Sonic team found his musical style was unsuitable. While working on the music, Nakamura was given screenshots and descriptions of the game stages to help him visualize the atmosphere, which is a good thing. He approached the project as if he were scoring a film, drawing inspirations from soundtrack of the late 80s, from films like Top Gun, Flashdance, and Dirty Dancing. The first track he made was Green Hill Zone, followed by the title theme. Nakamura, inexperienced in making music in computers, described the most challenging aspect as adapting to the limitations of the Genesis sound capabilities, which which allowed only 4 sounds to be played simultaneously. He composed the game's music concurrently with Dreams Come True's album Million Kisses. The compositions were made on an Atari computer, taking into account the number of audio channels available, before sending them to Sega, where members of the company's sound team, Hiroshi Kubota, and Yukifumi Makino, would digitize the soundtrack for the Genesis hardware using an Atari ST, and the programmer, Notator Makino, did the final tweaking of the tracks of Nakamura, and would contribute by making the game's iconic jingles, like the one when an extra life is obtained and the drowning countdown. So that wasn't even Nakamura. That was Makino as well. Nakamura's original recordings were featured in Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 soundtrack released in 2011 in Japan. Thanks to the internet, we have his original recordings, which is really cool that we finally got to hear his original compositions. So I'll play you a comparison right now. We'll do Green Hill first. So here is his original version of Green Hill with the final version we got in the Genesis game. So that's really cool. It's like it is cool because like as a fan of like, you know, old 16-bit games, it's kind of like I look back at this, I'm like, how did you compose a song with this, right? Like that must have been difficult, but it's like no. He just composed the song normally and then they just digitized it when he gave it to them. That's really cool. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 has been re-released multiple times, and here's just a couple of them. So we have the Sonic compilation, which was Sonic the Hedgehog 1, which included Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Mean Bean Machine. There was the Mega 6 Volume 6 pack, which was a bunch of Genesis games for the Sega Genesis, and it included Sonic 1 with 5 others. Then there was the 6-pack for the Genesis, which again was another big collection. There was Sonic Jam for the Sega Saturn. We all know this compilation. This included Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic 1. Sonic Jam was a big thing for the Saturn because they needed something because they weren't getting a Sonic game out on that thing. Sonic Smash Pack for the Dreamcast had it. The Sega Genesis Collection for the PS2 and PSP had it. The Sonic Mega Collection, which is probably one of the biggest collections and one of the most widely known Sonic collections out there, had it, which included Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, 3D Blast, Spinball, and Mean Bean Machine. That's a damn good collection, and this was for GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. There was the mobile port, so putting it on phones. Then there was the GBA port, which is notoriously one of the worst fucking things this franchise has ever done. The Ultimate Genesis Collection. Then there was the Sonic PC Collection, which, by the way, is one of the best fucking collections I think I've ever seen in my life. So it was a collection that was in Australia, France, New Zealand, Spain, and Israel in late 2009. It is the largest physical Sonic compilation to date, including a total of 25 titles. So the main 4 games you can play is Sonic Riders, Sonic Heroes, Sonic Adventure DX, and Sonic Mega Collection Plus. So another compilation is in this compilation. So you got Sonic Riders, Sonic Heroes, right? Those 2 games. But then by playing the Sonic Adventure DX, you also get access to Sonic the Hedgehog 8-bit, Sonic Drift, Sonic Chaos, Sonic Spinball 8-bit, Sonic Labyrinth, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 8-bit, Mean Bean Machine 8-bit, Triple Trouble, Drift 2, Tails Sky Patrol, Sonic Blast, and Tails Adventure. Then you have Mega Collection Plus, which includes 16-bit of Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Spinball, Mean Bean Machine, 3D Blast, Blue Sphere, Knuckles and Sonic 2s, Flicky. Then there's other Sega games like Rystar, The Ooze, Comic Zone, and then again 8-bit games as well. Like, what the fuck? This is a bargain. This is a fucking bargain, dude. Like, this is one of the best collections, not just for Sonic, in video game history to ever exist. And from what I can research, this collection was like $20. What the fuck? So we have the Sonic Classic Collection, which was on 3DS, which was a good way to play the 3D games. It had Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles on there for the 3DS, which was a good way to play them. There was Generations, of course, you could play Sonic 1 in Sonic Generations. There was the Sega 3D Classics lineup on the 3DS, which had Sonic 1 in there. Then there was the Christian Whitehead 2013 port, which is the best way to play Sonic 1, let's be honest. There was Sega Ages on the Switch, and then there was Sonic Origins, which is the latest version, which has the Christian Whitehead 2013 port in it. And that's the version I played. That is the version I played. So, with all that said and done, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, what do I think? Overall, I mean, like, it's definitely important to, like, you know, the history, because, you know, it's the first fucking game. But, like, in terms of, like, is it a good game? I don't know. Like, it's definitely not, like, you know, like, oh my god, this game sucks. Like, no way. Like, if you play that and think this about this, I'm gonna question your sanity. But it's definitely, like, it's definitely not, like, super good. Like, it definitely isn't, like, super good. Many games, even in the Genesis lineup, beat this, like, hands down. Like I said, the levels are the huge problem. In a game about going fast, you slow me down so many times. That is a crime amongst men. So, I'm going to say Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Honest to God, I would give it like a 7 out of 10 is where I would put it. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's just solid. It's all right. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna rectify my score, and I'm gonna give it 6.5. That's where I would say Sonic 1 goes. It's a 6.5 game. It's got good moments in it, good soundtrack. Green Hill is a fantastic zone. Starlight and Spring Yard are good levels, decent levels. The final zone, Scrap Brain, is challenging, but it deserves to be. The bosses are fun. The worst part is Marble Zone sucks as the second level in the game. That is awful. Labyrinth Zone is unnecessarily hard, and the controls in there are awful. The special stages are not fun at all. So it takes that down. It takes that down. I give it a 6.5. That's what I would rectify my score as. If you're a Sonic fan, definitely at least play it once, right? I would definitely play it once, just to say, like, you've done it. This is not my first time playing Sonic 1. I've played it multiple times, but now I'm doing a review of it, and I feel like this is the proper score to give it. 6.5 out of 10. Many games beat it. Many 2D Sonic games beat this later on, including the next fucking game beats this. So 6.5 is where I would put Sonic 1. So that's it for me. Let me know what you think about Sonic the Hedgehog 1 in the comments down below, and I will see you guys all next time.